Hey all, been a while since I've done a war video. For those of you who don't know, I was on vacation for a couple weeks. Wi-Fi was not great, and I wasn't risking recording, honestly. Plus, that would have been a lot to catch up on. But we have a really, really big war here to start us off. I am taking 9 fights, including the boss, and 3 of the hardest defenders in the game this war. So I guess we're coming back in style. But we are starting off with Vox versus a tactic defender, and this is just a perfect matchup, right? Like there's nothing going on in this fight that Vox doesn't counter. Guardian doesn't have that many buffs, so we don't really have to worry about overwhelming odds. We get clarity up instantly. We even ramp precisions more quickly than we normally would because of the way Guardian's specials work. We're immune to power burn. We're immune to special lock, so we don't even have to worry about that side of things. And yeah, you can see that that was just absolutely trivial. Vox is incredible for this tactic in general, but that was definitely one of the easiest fights I've taken with them. We move on to Doctor Doom here, which was an easy opportunity to bring and ramp my Mr. Fantastic. Been a while since I've used him. He hasn't been tactic in a while. He's a 6-star. He's punching up. There's a lot of really good science 7-stars, right? But this is a perfect matchup for him. One of the ones he was built for, basically, to counter Doom, and he still does it incredibly well. It means that I will have more pre-fights later on. So here we go. This is very simple. For those of you who haven't seen this before or who don't know how Mr. Fantastic works, because he has fallen out a little bit, use the pre-fights, you stack them, you get additional copies with the special 2, and you hold on to them by knocking the opponent down. If you do that with a heavy, you also get 3 seconds of pause, as you can see right there. Fun little snap light there. As you can see, now we have 2 stacks of these, and now we're reversing willpower, because those 2 petrifies at the far right there are giving us minus 80% regen rate, and then we have up 8 debuffs, which means that we have the full minus 100% from the Despair Mastery, and then when you add that to the fact that Doom has that plus 15% from recovery, it means that overall we're reversing, but not quite as much as you might think. Now we have all 3 petrifies up, and yeah, you can see that the reversed willpower is a real cost, right? Once we have that Careful Study passive up, we have extra combat power rate offensively, and so we're just going to spam special ones because the idea here is to try and make sure that we end the fight not just with that passive, but also with both the taunt and the stagger active. Because if we can do that, then that is 2 more debuffs on the opponent when we end the fight. You saw we even threw the Striker and got the physical vulnerability debuff, and so we are now very ramped and have plenty of pre-fight ammo for the rest of this war. Which is good, because we are going to use it. That is my only read fight, but it went very, very well. We move on to Omega Sentinel here. I've taken this with Vox before. I can't remember if I did it last season while I was recording. Basically, the threat here is, again, that overwhelming odds node where she gets massively increased attack rating per buff on her, so you want to keep those armors down. We are going to take extra block damage because of it, but what you really want to make sure you don't do in this fight is go, I have clarity. I can ignore her auto block. It doesn't exist. Because if you do that, you run into the fact that her Incinerate is applied when she would auto block the opponent, and then you get a giant Incinerate on you that is applied before she consumes her armors, and so it just melts you instantly. So that's why we are doing these short alternated combos, and then we go into this special 2 here, and she doesn't have a lot of health in the first place. Our crits have been cutting through her quite nicely, but now she's just going to be gone. I probably didn't even need to hit her there. Could have saved our like a couple thousand health from not blocking that last special one, but she didn't have any armor ups up, so it's not really a big deal. Now, you might have thought I would go Kushala here for Maestro, because generally she's a better counter, but needing to intercept to control Maestro's ability power here on Rich Get Richer is just not a risk I'm willing to take. And so we are going to throw on these debuffs and head in with Fox. I didn't bother with the Petrify here. I don't know, maybe I should have, but the idea that I was going for is that I'm going to be outpacing Rich Get Richer the entire fight, so I don't really need to worry about his ability power rate. He is getting some willpower healing, and the Petrify would have helped with that, don't get me wrong. But I figured that the debuff siphon boosting our degens and the suppression cutting down on how many special attacks he throws were more important. Thus far, it's going pretty well. I am trying to just maintain the tempo enough here that I can throw a special attack, but that's okay. I would rather lose the degens than, use up all my buffs, lose, and basically push him to Special 3 because of it, right? That is our doomsday scenario. So that's what we were avoiding there by letting the degens fall off. It does prolong the fight a little bit, but we can stay pretty healthily in control. See, right there was the risk, because we knew that after we threw that Special 3, he was going to be winning Rich Get Richer briefly, but then we got to the point where he's not. And now it is back to us because he's gone into Superior Rage. I used the Striker and ate some Cosmic Radiation damage there because that meant that I could knock him down and try and pull him out of Cosmic Rage sooner. I think he's about to surprise us here. He does something very rude soon. There it is. Throws that Special 2 right as I dash back and catches me with it. I was not ready for that. I probably should have been a little bit more intentional with my baiting. I was trying to be. But yeah, that obviously caught me off guard. Very unpleasant. He still has a little bit of Superior Rage up, so I'm just trying to stay away so we don't lose our limited health to Cosmic Radiation, and now we can go back on the offensive. Thankfully, we had that Special 3 banked so that we could get the most out of our adrenaline. But yeah, that was terrifying. This fight was going great until then. Don't do that. Other than that, fantastic assignment. Don't eat Special 2s. And so now we move on to Shocker here on Scared Stiff and Bubble Shield. Definitely a dangerous node because of that Power Focus 2. Means he's probably going to be throwing his Special 2 a lot, because if you don't, then you have to bait the Special 1 constantly, and then he's just unblockable on dashes. So different threat. But if you are baiting the Special 2, you're probably blocking some of it, which means Bubble Shield is ticking up. If it ticks up enough, then you might eat the Special 2, you get passively stunned, and then you're going to take a big ol' heavy to the face, and that can be the death of you, right? So that's what we're trying to avoid. I know that I'm blocking these 4 hits here. I go straight into the Special 1 I have ready to break the root, and I am trying to make sure that before anything else happens, I do block twice here. I probably should have done that before using my Striker and pushing him over a bar, but that is okay, honestly, because I got enough health off of him with those degens that then I was comfortable going for the kill there. The important thing, though, is really just, if you're planning on blocking 4 hits of the Special 2 like I am, then you need to, when you get above 6, you need to intentionally block hits to get it back to 10 so that you know you can block. Heal the block damage back, that part doesn't matter, but really watch Bubble Shield carefully. So now we move on to Serpent. We are using Kushala, but we brought Reed to make sure that we have all of these pre-fights. All of them are going to be helping us. Debuff Siphon lets us heal better from Hazard Shift and improves our Soul Barb and incinerates. Suppression means that he gains less power when hitting him. Petrify means he gets less power everywhere else. We want to hold on to them. So the first thing that I do there is I do go for the Special 1. I've noticed a lot of people not doing this against Serpent, and I think it's a mistake. right? I know that the Special 2 is very good. You don't necessarily want to be nullifying all of the buffs off of Serpent, but you do want to get rid of that giant fury he starts with. That's making all of your block damage that much worse. That's making the threat of eating the Special 3 much worse. It's a huge part of the problem. And so a single nullify at the beginning is not only going to get you some incinerates and chunk through him, it is also going to be very helpful when it comes to just limiting how much damage you take later on. Also, I've now unfortunately proved twice, it helps you go for intercepts. Because if he intercepts you instead, you still get the blessing, but I took a lot less damage from those failed intercepts precisely because I had gotten rid of the big fury, right? Odds are those two combos could have brought me near death if I hadn't done that. So I really think it's an incredibly important first step. We move on to Mysterio here, another famous jerk, but also one that Vox thankfully hard counters. Now, because we can freely stun Mysterio here, that means we can build the tactic just fine with combos, and so that means that we are going to rush to the Special 2. Because once we get to the Special 2 and we get our Vigilance up, there's basically nothing in this fight that he can do that causes us a problem, right? We're Power Drain immune, and so that part doesn't matter. Clarity hard counters the tactic. Vigilance handles the falter, so we don't have to worry about hitting him to avoid the falter, and so that way we can also play around his Special 1. Now, I'm not really planning on playing around his Special 1, because I'm hoping to just keep pushing him to his Special 2 and take advantage of the power efficiency, but it's nice to also remove that part of the equation, right? So we're just basically making this a trivial fight. There's no real threat here. We can just get Mysterio down with combos. We're gonna get to another Special 2 eventually, but I think he may just be dead by then. It's a very, very hard counter to an otherwise very dangerous placement. See, here the falter's on us again. We don't care. We're baiting out this Special 2. We're just getting willpower healing from the falter. We don't mind that he's not throwing it. This normally would cause us stress. We're not concerned. We have the Undermine up from that Special 1 that we threw as well, so we don't even have to really worry about losing clarity. We get it back very quickly because we've been dexing. And now we have another opportunity to throw a Special 2 here, and I don't think he survives to get the degens. Nope. So yeah, very, very good counter. Now, here's where I make a mistake. The last time I took this fight, I used the wrong Grey Boost, as some of you may remember, and I died like a dummy. So this time, I knew I had a power start from the last boost. I checked the duration, I ran right in, I knew I had it. But I forgot something pretty important, which is that I brought Mr. Fantastic for a reason. Same thing as with the Serpent fight. See, there's an unfortunate loss of health right at the start, because I was also just not playing perfectly. But same thing as the Serpent fight, all three of those pre-fights would have helped, right? They contribute to inequity, and so they would have been reducing the block damage. They would have made my Incinerate stronger. They would have meant that he gains fewer bars of power. They would have limited any willpower. Like, it would have been really, really helpful, right? Which is why I planned them that way. I assigned this to myself with that in mind. But I forgot, because I had just taken 7 fights in a row, including a couple that were a little bit on the difficult side, and I was focused on my boost and not my pre-fights, unfortunately. And another thing that meant is that playing around brute force meant that I was accidentally pushed to the Special 2, which was not part of my plan. I wanted to spam Special 1s, and I knew I wanted to spam Special 1s, but what I didn't realize was that the Special 2 was extra dangerous because I blocked as soon as I possibly could after it, but because of how quickly he got up and came in, I couldn't not parry, which is how that fight ended. Now, unfortunately, I was losing the brute force race, in part because I ate that combo at the beginning, but also because I'd forgotten the debuffs, and also because he'd been a little bit rude with the brute force, right? Like, this is a tough fight. There are a lot of factors, but just pointing out all of them, right? I made a tactical mistake. I made an execution mistake. And then right at the end, I didn't realize that the special 2 is basically a complete no-go. So, very unfortunate death to give up there. With an overall quite solid matchup. It is what it is. It's at least been a week, so I've had some time to get past it. And we move on to the boss fight here, which isn't quite as hard a shut-off as the Mysterio fight, but it's close. We start with the power start again. We immediately throw the special 1. We don't care about the fact that it didn't apply any degens. We just wanted the undermine, so that now we can just hit Prowler with impunity. That allowed us to get clarity up pretty easily. Here, unfortunately, he's a bit of a jerk, and so I make a mistake because I notice my clarity is running out. That was spooky, because then I hit in a few times while he could have auto-blocked us. And it was because the AI was annoying, but also I didn't need to do that. I could have baited heavies and heavy countered them. I had practiced that. I panicked a little bit. So if you take this fight, don't do that. Practice the heavy counter. It's important. But now that we have the special 2, sure, these degens are doing real work, but the important thing is that now we can punish his specials. And so our tempo is going to be a lot better. We're going to hold on to clarity significantly more easily. And we're going to get our intensifies back from the special 1 here. And now the timer stops. This is one of my favorite things about Vox that I've talked about before. There is tension in the way the fight flows, right? Because you do have to worry, quote, about losing the degens. But you decide when you start the timer, and once you succeed, the timer stops, and you get to decide to start it again. And so that's exactly what you're seeing here, is that the timer stopped, and we can take our time getting back up to a special 2, getting another vigilance up, applying a whole bunch of degens, and I could just stop hitting Prowler now. But I'm not going to, because this is more fun. And there we go. Very efficient boss kill. So yeah, unfortunate what happened with Bullseye, but that was a gigantic war that included Maestro, Serpent, and Bullseye, and several big tactic fights, so I'm honestly over it. We did end up winning that war, which helped a lot with me getting over it. And as of this point in the season, for those of y'all who haven't seen anybody else from SSx put up war videos but would like to keep track, we were 6-0. So it was a really strong start. And I will be following up with some other vids soon. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. I know it's on the long side for a war vid, but I also think it's pretty cool, honestly. I love using Vox for this tactic. It is so satisfying. Dusting off Reed was fun as well, and then I always enjoy using Kushala. She's obviously one of my babies. Yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this, hope you learned something, and until next time, thank you so much for watching, and take care.